Ho! Hi, I'm Dr. Francis. I'm a world-renowned wildlife nutritionist. You may not have heard of me, but your French bulldog sure has. So let's talk about some tips on how to feed your picky pets today. Because they fart a lot. Is your pet picky? Do you have a picky pet? Do you have a picky puppy? Do you have a picky cat? Well, we have some tips to help make sure that your picky pet will eat their food, and more importantly, you won't lose any sleep thinking that you are starving your pets and that you think it's all your fault and you're a bad pet parent, which is not the case. So we'll get through this together. Don't worry, there are many things you can try. So I have a 6-step program to make sure that your picky pet eats their meal. Now, step 1 is you need to know and figure out what protein or what flavor your pet actually likes. You need to kind of rank it down between all the different choices that you have. What do they prefer? You need to know what they prefer because that will be your secret weapon. Now, the biggest mistake that people make in any scenario with a picky pet is they find out your pet's favorite and then they give it all the time. But then what happens, because they're picky pets, if they keep getting their favorite stuff, eventually it will no longer become their favorite. So you need to fight your instinct to give them their favorite and actually use that as a secret weapon. And I will teach you when and how to use this. But you need to give different varieties and usually at the same time, and then see which one they will gravitate more towards. Maybe you probably already know which one they prefer, or you have an inkling of which one they would usually eat a little bit sooner than the other. If you're not sure what they like, then you probably have to buy a few different proteins. And sometimes even the same protein, you can just buy different parts of that animal. Like usually liver is very, very good for picky pets because liver has so many nutrients inside that it's very, very enticing for all these dogs and cats. Tripe is also a really good one. Now, whether you're using green tripe, which is super smelly, but that's probably why they love it so much, or whether you're buying the dried stuff, then you can consider trying those two out of a variety of different proteins. But you need to try a few different things. Find out the protein and the part of the animal that they actually like. Maybe it's just a specific kibble or a specific treat or something like that. But you need to have a list of like your top 1, 2, maybe 3 if you're lucky, things that your dog or cat currently, right now, will eat no matter what. Second step is you need to review your pet's current diet amount and feeding frequency. Maybe you're just feeding too often, or maybe the portions are just too big, or maybe you're giving a lot of little treats throughout the day because you feel guilty that your pet is maybe not eating as much as you want them to, so you end up giving treats here and there. You need to review everything. First and foremost, remove all the treats and focus on the meals. If you're still having issues there after 3 days, then you probably want to look at if you're giving too much, too big meals, or too many meals throughout the day. Most dogs actually do really well on 1 meal a day. Anything that is bigger than a 3-kilogram dog will do fine on 1 meal a day, and actually it's been shown to help make them live even longer. Now this will be a big adjustment for your pet, so you need to really slowly transition that down to 1 meal. But it's definitely worth a try, especially if you feel like you've tried everything and if you really think that this is not the problem. Maybe you're very happy with 2 meals a day, that's fine, make them smaller. Or you make the first meal smaller and then the dinner maybe is a little bit bigger. You need to play around with this. There is no one-size-fits-all for every dog and cat, especially when you're thinking about picky ones. So you really just need to try and figure this part out, but try to reduce whatever you're currently doing. Odds are it may be too much. Step 3, set feeding times, feeding windows. So let's say you decide that 2 meals a day is what you want for your dog or cat, fine. 8 a.m. is breakfast, 6 p.m. is dinner, 30 minutes each, and that's all. You put the food out, the food is there, your dog has 30 minutes to eat. After 30 minutes, the food is gone. Even if it's kibble, even if you leave it out all day long, those are things that you need to change. Because now if your pet knows that they have access to food all day long, that's a problem. Now this may sound very harsh because especially over the first few days, your pet probably won't understand and then they may end up missing a meal or two. But guess what? They're gonna be fine. How many times have you gone partying in Mexico and got a little bit too drunk, and then the next day you were spending in bed recovering, you didn't eat that day because you were probably feeling a little bit hungover. And you're fine in your life watching me on this video. Your pet will also be fine if they miss a meal. I know you may feel like a guilty parent. You don't need to, they will be fine. This is tough love. You really need to teach them the proper way of eating and also teach them the right relationship with food. And actually one added benefit of this is they will associate you even more with their food, which means that your bond with your pet will improve rather than what you're probably scared of happen, which is you're afraid your pet will not like you anymore. That will not happen. The first 2-3 days may be a little bit weird, but once they adjust, and even though they already love you and they already do associate you with food, but having this set timing that you stick to very strictly will really enhance the bond that you have because that amount of food is finite. It's no longer just always there. It's only for a limited amount of time and you're the only one that can present it and give it and then take it away. And again, I know all of you are thinking, no way, I'm not doing that, no chance. Try it before you knock it. This works 90% of the time for any picky dog or cat. If this doesn't work, then you can move on to step 4. This one is a bit more important for cats more than dogs, but work on texture. Some pets just have a preference for things that are a little bit more moist. Some pets prefer semi-moist. Some like it when it's chunky and they gotta chew. Some prefer when it's kind of small and they don't have to chew at all. This is where it becomes really annoying, but as long as you're keeping the same diet, just feeding it with different textures or different amounts of water or broth mixed in, then you aren't really messing with the rules because you're still giving the same diet, but you're changing the texture to find out that maybe that's the problem. Again, this is more common in cats than in dogs, but definitely something you should explore. And if this doesn't work, then you gotta move on to step 5. Maybe your pet is just sick of the food you're feeding. Maybe they need some new flavors, some new textures, anything new. So maybe you want to introduce rotational feeding. That is something that you can consider down the line. If you know texture and flavor, whatever is not working, then giving a whole brand of food and then rotating it. Every day or maybe every week, you give something different, whether it's the same brand, different protein, different flavor, or just a completely different product. Or maybe a different type of feeding. Maybe it's kibble one day and then it's canned food the other day, and then maybe it's gently cooked diet the other day. Again, these are just ideas, whatever works for your lifestyle and your budget. But adding this rotation also helps to prevent pickiness, as long as you don't pander to your pet. And that is the last step, the most important step, and actually it's a rule. Don't pander to your pet. So if you're giving them food and they don't eat it, you must fight this intense guilt that you feel. You must fight the shame. You have nothing to feel shameful about. You're giving the best diet to your dog and cat, but they choose not to eat. If you immediately go and like, oh my God, baby, I'm so sorry. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, please don't hate me. And then you take the food away and then you give them what they prefer. They are so smart. They are gonna manipulate you. In fact, you're probably already being manipulated if you're watching this video. You're probably a victim of your pets right now because they're so smart. They know that if they look at you with those big eyes, this is me trying to be cute, but it's not possible. And then you're just gonna be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then you will immediately give them what they want. They know they can get whatever they want, just like that. So you need to stick to your guns. And again, it's tough love. If they're not hungry, they just won't eat. And guess what? It's okay for them to skip a meal. You've skipped meals throughout your life and you're completely fine. Your dog or cat is no different. Now you don't want your cat to go 3 days without eating. Of course, that's not good. Of course, that will lead to some complications. But even if they do 1 day of not eating while you're transitioning to the other steps that I mentioned before, you can kind of take a breath. And even if you just give bone broth, so at least they're getting some protein, some nutrition, that's already good and that should help to make you feel a little bit better. This is a really tough period to adjust to. It is tough love, but take a good 2-3 days and try to adjust and go through this. But overall, if you go through every step that I've just mentioned, this could take you 2 months. But as long as you end up with something that works for you, your lifestyle, and your pet, then it's totally worth the time and the effort. Hope this video helped with you and your picky dog and cat. Subscribe, like this video, and follow us on Instagram and on TikTok for more helpful videos and some funny content, or maybe you just want to laugh at me, which is also totally fine. Please don't laugh at me. No, it's okay, you can laugh. All right, see you around. Bye-bye.